Hello everybody and welcome to the Stevie P channel for the first episode of the Stevie P Show, featuring me, Stevie P, and what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing a bit of a reflection, a bit of a dive into the tenure of Rassie Erasmus. As mentioned, this is a relaunch of the channel which will feature weekly episodes of the Stevie P Show, some which will just be me going on a bit of a rant or talking about something that's on my mind, and sometimes we'll have guests. We're going to be almost doing sort of some podcast style sort of videos as well, doing sort of long-term or sort of long deep dives really into sort of topics, stuff like that. And they're going to vary from sort of sporting stuff to other sort of aspects of life, and really excited for the journey. So if you're new, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Let me know any suggestions for more content on the channel in the comments as well. Obviously, we will have a weekly episode of the Stevie P Show, but we're going to be doing a lot of other different things. Looking to do a vlog next week of basically a week on tour, in inverted commas, following the box around Durban and Ireland. So potentially we'll be doing that next week, so keep an eye out for that as well. Episode 1. We had to do a rugby episode, didn't we? First of all, obviously everybody knows me from the rugby world, and the rugby fraternity is up and about, and doing circles really, striding around their offices, because we all want to see what's going to happen this weekend. It is Springboks versus Ireland, the game we've all been waiting for since the end of the World Cup, and the hype couldn't be higher. Really, we're talking about a game which traditionally has not been a massive rivalry between Springboks and Ireland, but has become one in the last sort of 10 years. We're talking about a Springboks side which haven't beaten Ireland in about 6 years. We're talking about an Irish side who have been number one in the world consistently since the last World Cup, and yet sort of fell over the first hurdle really when it came to the Rugby World Cup. And this is sort of kind of being built, the game to determine who is the real number one in the world. A lot of South African fans saying, we are already the number ones, and the Irish fans, saying that, consistently they've been. But I want to look a bit bigger than that, because I am looking at Rassie Erasmus and the next sort of World Cup cycle, and I'm almost sort of laying down a bit of a challenge. The one thing that Rassie Erasmus has yet to be able to do, the one thing he maybe still has to prove as a coach, and it's an incredible statement to say he still has something to prove. We're talking about someone who has coached the Boks to a World Cup title as the head coach, as well as then director of rugby, a British and Irish Lions series as well. Since he took over in 2018, it's been a really, really good road for the Boks, but it's been an up and down road as well. And that is what we're going to talk about a bit today. So let's load back, shall we? 2018, Rassie Erasmus takes over a struggling Springboks side, record losses, 57-0 against New Zealand, big losses against Ireland, losing to Italy, and the Boks in absolutely disarray. Crowds of people calling for the sack of Alistair Coetzee, people saying they're no longer supporting the Springboks, and SA Rugby was probably in the worst space it's ever been. The solution of that is to bring Mr. Rassie Erasmus back from Ireland with his friend Jacques Nienaber, and they take over the Springboks. 18 months later, we are celebrating World Cup champions after they took over. So it's been an instant success. And after that, we then had a very interesting 4 years. We had COVID in 2020, which removed, we literally did not play a single test in 2020, which basically removed about 12 tests from sort of the World Cup cycle that we usually would have had. After that, the year after that, we then had the British and Irish Lions series, which did take place, albeit behind closed doors, in empty stadiums down in Cape Town. So not an ideal situation at all. But it was also a situation where, after having lost a full year of rugby, the Boks had no time to try and bring anybody new in, for example. There were a couple of players that were involved in the World Cup, but generally very much almost sort of the exact same squad. They got over the line. Morné Steyn writing himself into history once again with that kick in 2021, all those years after he put the British and Irish Lions to bed back in 2009. And that was it. Boom. British and Irish Lions series secured. We were then talking about 1 year, 2022, 1 year where we had to basically prepare and become a World Cup challenging team, a side that could go to France and be competitive. And as a result, we did not see, we did see some rotation. We did see new faces. Let's not pretend we didn't. The game that we lost in Bloemfontein had a lot of new faces. Somebody like an Aaron Ruiz getting a debut at the time. A Ruan Nokia getting a debut at the time. Albert Lowe, for example. Kirkley Orense being called into the squad in around there. So there were definitely players who obviously were brought in. Generally, though, it was still the bulk of the squad from 2019. And that sort of continued into 2023, where we took a squad to France, which was a bit of an aging squad, but hell, so much experience, which showed in the fact that come the World Cup final, we named the most experienced Springbok side of all time, got over the line and won the World Cup. So what is it that I would like to Rassie Erasmus to do, and what I'd like to see? During the tenure, 2018 to 2024, 1 Rugby Championship, 2 World Cups, 1 British and Irish Lions Series. It is a very good time. I would like to see more. And this is me being greedy, 100%. This is me being greedy. I can understand why over the last sort of 4 to 6 years, it was instant, plans, short-term success, short-term planning, and it worked. It's actually incredible. The more you look at how much the odds were stacked against South African Rugby at the time, both World Cup wins, so incredible for different reasons. Now, I think we're looking at a time where SA Rugby has never been in a better position. We have never been stronger in terms of the depth we have in our team and the structures, the quality of coaching staff, for example, the quality of players. And as a result, I would like to see consistency. That is my plea. That is my challenge to the Springbok staff for the next 4 years. I want to see more trophies. If we look at Rassie Erasmus' stats, for example, during his time as head coach, he had 27 games where he won 18, lost 8, and drew 1. That 16-16 draw over in New Zealand back in 2019. His win percentage was 66.6%. I think it makes him about the 4th or 5th most successful Springbok coach. If we look at it and then sort of including the Jacques Nienaber era, where Rassie Erasmus was director of rugby, not officially head coach, as a result, sort of the stats more sort of lean towards are attributed to Jacques Nienaber, and so they should be. I've got no issue about that. I always said that I don't think we ever gave him enough credit as the head coach. But Rassie Erasmus was still involved. It was still at the World Cup, calling a lot of the shots and very much sort of overseeing exactly what was happening. So if we look at the Rassie and Jacques Nienaber era, that sort of win percentage does go up slightly to a sort of 68%, but still very similar in terms of the number of games that we were sort of winning, losing. There wasn't a drawn game during that era. And for me, that is something I'd like to see improve. We've got to consistently win test matches, more consistently than we have, because there's no reason why we can't. And, I think we need to move away from this whole, we only care about the World Cups, because we're better than that. We've got the talent, we've got the players, we've got the resources now to contend in between World Cups. There's no British and Irish Lions Series to prepare for next year. This, for me, should be, the golden era of Springbok rugby. And what does that mean? It means Rugby Championship trophies. We've won 1 during this sort of era. Why can't we win 2 or 3 in the next few years? I want this year, 2024, we should be looking to win the Rugby Championship. We've got 2 away games in Australia. We've got New Zealand twice at home, which doesn't get sort of any more favourable for us. 1 game in Argentina away, 1 game against Argentina at home. We don't really... Argentina are tough away, but we generally do win. Australia have actually been the most difficult team that we've really had to beat away, so that's a big test for us. But I look at that Australia side, for example, we shouldn't be losing to it at the end of the day. I think Joe Schmidt's going to turn them into a very impressive side, but he's going to be going into about his 4th or 5th test by the time we play against them. New Zealand, under Scott Robertson, obviously we don't know what to expect, but we expect a lot of improvement. We're expecting them to be very competitive. We're talking about a team that came, runners-up during the World Cup. We should be able to beat them. So I want to see in the next 4 years us winning. It sounds silly, but the Freedom Trophy, the trophy that we've got when we play against New Zealand. I would like to see us go and get that trophy back. Maybe it sounds like a small, insignificant thing, but it's about beating the All Blacks twice. We need to go and do that. We haven't done that. If we look at the All Blacks results during the Rassie Erasmus era, by the way, 11 played, 5 won, 5 lost, 1 draw. So it is a 45% win rate we've currently got against the All Blacks during the Rassie Erasmus era. That, for me, can get higher. I think we can generally take on the All Blacks and beat them twice this year, for example. Win the Rugby Championship. On the outgoing tours, I don't see why we can't have, invincible tours where we go and we're unbeaten. This Ireland series, for example, go and win 2-0. I genuinely believe that we've got the coaching IP, we've got the rugby players, we've got the talent to do these things. And for me, that is the next frontier for Rassie Erasmus. The three-peat, if he achieves it, will be unmatched. I don't think anybody would ever be able to do it again, to be perfectly honest. Am I confident we can do it? Not amazingly, not so much in terms of, I don't think we've got the players to it. I just think, 3 in a row is it's something that's never been done. And it's going to be incredibly difficult to try and do. If it does happen, then incredible. But I don't see why we can't pick up more trophies along the way. And I want to look back at this 2018 to 2027, a 10-year period where you can go and say 2 World Cups, British and Irish Lions Series, 3 or 4 rugby championships, a couple of Freedom Cups, for example, a couple of other small trophies we've got with some of the other nations. This, for me, should become the most dominant era of Springbok rugby. I don't see why it can't be. So that's not a criticism towards Rassie Erasmus, but I think, and the nice things they've been talking about as well, that they want to have that consistency. They want to have these results throughout this 4 years and not be so sort of always in a rebuilding phase. We are rebuilding, but we're rebuilding while we're at the top. We're not having to reset. We're bringing players along the journey. We're going to bring them up towards the World Cup, and hopefully we can go for 3 in a row. Too harsh? Fair? What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Once again, any suggestions, put them in the comments below. But that is this for this week on this Stevie P Show. I'll be back next week, and make sure you enjoy the channel, and we'll see you soon.